Usually, the Norm Smith medal is given to the player deemed best on ground in that year's grand final, but sometimes it's not. These are the most rigged Norm Smiths in AFL history. In 2002, Nathan Buckley became only the third AFL player to ever win a Norm Smith medal in a losing grand final. The Pies captain was easily the club's best player, finishing with 32 disposals, 8 clearances and a goal. Despite that, he wasn't the best player on the ground, Michael Voss was. Even though Voss's 26 disposals and a goal are worse than Buckley's on paper, it was his impact on the game, especially in the fourth quarter, that made his performance so great. When Scott Burns laid a huge bump on him and he still got up and assisted Simon Black for a goal, it showed just how tough Michael Voss really was. He was one of the main reasons the Lions ended up winning by 9 points, along with Jason Ackermanis. But there's a reason Voss didn't win the award. The AFL made the decision to have votes casted in 10 minutes before the end of the match, instead of at the very end, with the judges missing Voss's game-winning heroics. Buckley took the Norm Smith medal off shortly after receiving it, out of respect for his teammates. Jason Johannisen starred for the Western Bulldogs in the 2016 Grand Final, picking up 33 disposals and 7 marks while playing on the wing. But his performance was not fully complete. While Johannisen provided dash and run on the wing and through the middle, he kicked 0 goals, only had 1 tackle and got no clearances. Somehow though, he ended up becoming a Norm Smith medalist. Who should have won the award instead? There were 2 potential candidates. The first was Tom Boyd. Although Boyd only had 14 disposals and no tackles, he stood up in the forward line when it counted, kicking 3 crucial goals. The last of which put the dagger in the hearts of all Swans fans, effectively ending the hard-fought contest. The second player who could have won the Norm Smith was Josh Kennedy. Thanks to his 34 disposals, 3 goals and 6 clearances, the Swans were able to respond after the Bulldogs began to claw away in the second quarter. He was the heart and soul of the Swans midfield, and I'm sure if they had won the match, it would have been Kennedy who received the prestigious award. The 2017 season was all Dustin Martin's. After winning a Brownlow and leading the Tigers from 13th place at the end of 2016 to a grand final the very next year, it seemed like he could do no wrong. That's why, when he was announced as the 2017 Norm Smith medalist, most people weren't surprised. Dusty had gathered 29 disposals and kicked 2 goals, with every one of his possessions having an impact. His first goal came at a time when scores were close, and what followed was astonishing, an onslaught of 10 Richmond goals to Adelaide's 4. But it seemed like Norm Smith medal selectors had forgotten someone, Bashar Houli. Houli was the centrepiece of the Richmond backline. Playing at half-back flank, the 29-year-old was an attacking machine, pulling off many risky kicks in the centre of the ground that led to Richmond scores. Still, he maintained his place down back, picking off defensive intercepts left and right. His first quarter goal brought the house down and was a huge turning point in the game. Luckily for Dusty and Tigers fans, he won it and completed the big 3, winning a Brownlow, Norm Smith and a premiership in the same season. Unfortunately for Houli, in the club's 2019 premiership, he finished second only to Dusty in the Norm Smith votes once again. While the 2010 Grand Final ended in a draw, a Norm Smith medalist was still chosen nonetheless. Brendan Goddard looked like a deserving winner of the award, having had 31 disposals, 5 tackles and 2 goals at 77% efficiency. He had a remarkable fourth quarter, which was capped off by his incredible specky over Harry O'Brien, before putting the Saints a goal in front in the late stages. However, Goddard didn't win the award. Instead, it went to Lenny Hayes. The ex-captain had very similar stats to Goddard: 32 disposals, 12 tackles, and 1 goal at 75% efficiency. But he didn't shine as much late in the game. Well, he almost did win it for St Kilda. If only his pass to Stephen Milne hadn't gotten one of the most unlucky bounces ever. What makes it even sadder is that Goddard had a very similar performance the next week in the grand final replay, even though the Pies belted them by 56 points. Goddard would have certainly won the Norm Smith if it was judged for performances across both grand finals, but instead he left the season with no medals at all. While for all the previous Norm Smith medal robberies you could have made a case against them, this one you can't. Geelong were an unstoppable force in 2009, taking out the premiership after Paul Chapman kicked the winning snap with only minutes remaining. And so it seemed fitting that it was Chapman who won the Norm Smith. The forward's 26 disposal, 3 goal performance was so important in such a low scoring game. When it came to the Norm Smith count, Chapman's name was up there in the top spot, but so was Jason Graham's. The 25-year-old defender had also received 9 votes from the judges, in large part to the 30 disposals he accumulated across half back. This led to the first ever tie in the award's history. When the match ended, Paul Chapman was the only one presented with the Norm Smith medal. Why exactly? Well, it was widely publicised and alleged that Chapman had won the medal on a countback system, where the player with the most number of 3 votes wins. But this was simply not true. Further investigation found that 2 medals were released from the MCG office where they were held that very day, but only 1 was presented. There's no doubt that Cyril Rioli had a monumental impact on the 2015 Grand Final. In the first half, he was kicking goals and laying tackles left, right and centre. But at the end of the day, it's hard to give an 18 disposal, 2 goal performance the best on ground. There were 2 other players that probably deserved it more. Luke Hodge was the first of these, having amassed 30 disposals and taken 8 marks, playing in a mid-forward role. Nobody can forget his freakish cheeky goal from the left pocket either. Hodge is just built for grand finals. The second deserving player was Sam Mitchell, who was coming off an impressive season, finishing 3rd in the Brownlow medal. Mitchell's consistent 4-quarter effort saw him pick up 34 disposals, 4 tackles and 6 clearances, but no goals. While Rioli's first 2 quarters were unmatched by anyone else on the ground, he fell off a bit after that. But still, Rioli somehow won the Norm Smith.